Okay, welcome folks to the first game where we are playing against dwarfs. So like it's not an amazing matchup for Norse. Dwarfs have all armor value 9 except for one, which is armor value 8. And we obviously mostly armor value 7 with a few 8s. So both teams are going to want to hit each other, and kind of, I mean, when you have one team that's armor value 9 and one team that's armor value 7, there's only one team that's going to come out of that. So the winner. So they should kind of outblock us. So that's a problem. But dwarfs, especially in the early game, get a lot of value out of their starting skills, which is block and tackle. And we don't have any players that have dodge, and loads of our positionals have block. So they're not going to get any value out of that. So the game plan here is we are defending in the first half. We're playing in the rain, which is great because it adds a +1 modifier to the pickup, and these dwarf runners are going to be picking up. These are going to be on. It's going to be on 4 pluses. Now they do have sure hands. Okay, so we gotta throw a rock as the first kickoff, and that's an injury, and that's an actual casualty to a Longbeard. So that's absolutely massive. This dwarf team, it's new, so it only has 11 players, so no subs, and knocking any dwarf out is really, really useful in this kind of bashy match. You would expect the dwarves to knock the Norse out, so for me to be just given that for free is really nice. So yeah, as I was saying, it's a 4 plus catch, 4 plus pickup. Now they do have sure hands, which means they get to re-roll it, but I'm kind of hoping that the rain here is going to kind of make that a little bit tough. So they go for the pickup, and sure hands fails, and now they're in a bit of trouble. They did a few blocks here, which didn't do much, and they haven't really moved any of the other players and left things quite exposed. So what I'm going to try and do here is move up, put a little bit of pressure on the ball, and also try and split the team. So you'll see the way they've lined up here is they have 5 players on the right side of the pitch, and then 3 players and both troll slayers on the left side of the pitch. So by running my guys up through the middle, so I've moved up Peter, Andra and Cine all through the middle, it kind of puts pressure on the ball, but what it also does is kind of splits the team in two. And I'm moving Kenty now to blitz. Fortunately, we don't get an armor break, but Kenty now is going to be really important in tying up this massive blob of dwarfs. Kenty, incidentally, very useful player in this game. I'm going to be wanting to blitz with him quite a lot, or at least hit with him quite a lot, because he has claw. And claw essentially means that every time I'm hitting something, I'm hitting armor value 7, not the typical armor value 9 of the dwarfs. So pretty happy with this board set at the moment. And the Troll Slayer gets a hit on Cine, breaks armor, but just stuns him. But yeah, quite happy with this board set at the moment. I feel like we're clumping up quite a lot of dwarves here, and that's essentially how you beat the dwarves. That's a 1 die skull. That's a first reroll used, so then to 2. But yeah, this is how you beat the dwarves. They play a very positional focused game. Another armor break here, and luckily just a stun on Dynamics Braddock. Yeah, they play a very positionally focused game. They all have our agility 2 except for the runners, which is only agility 3. So if you can pin them, you can... Okay, so the pickup works this time, rolls a 6, and he moves to the left. Okay, so now you can see what I'm kind of talking about here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dwarfs all pushed to the right here. And he's now, this runner is going to have to try and make some sort of cage protection with just these 3 players, because one of them is a runner. So what I'm kind of trying to do here now is keep pushing things to the right and try and free up some of my players to move to the left. So another frenzy hit there. Unfortunately, again, no armor break. So disappointing there from Kennedy. So using a blitz here because I want to try and free Jaffa up a bit. Unfortunately, get a double skull, reroll that, so I'm down to one reroll, and moving them left. And now basing the Trolls there to try and just tie him up. Go for a one die block here because it's actually quite important, and get an armor break. So again, pushing guys to the right. So now if we look at this board state here, just pause it for a quick second. Let's get this thing away. Okay, so this board state here, really nice for me. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his dwarfs all pinned to the right. Kenty here is tying up 3 of them, and I have this nice wall of Peter and Striker. A nice kind of line, which is making it very difficult for dwarfs to move to the left. And so this guy here, the Sin, the runner, the ball carrier, only has 3 dwarfs to actually protect him. So my opponent is going to have to try and either move back the other way, which is quite dangerous because you're going to leave the runner exposed, or find some way to protect the ball carrier. But he's definitely in a bit of trouble here. So here comes the blitz. So yeah, this is kind of what I mean. He wants to try and free up these players on the right and move them left, but he's having to rely on one die blocks. He's followed up there, which I think is a bit of a mistake. But okay, so the runner now is making a dash. He actually made a GFI there, and he's going to try and secure the cage with another GFI, and it fails. He re-rolls it, and that passes. Okay, so now runner is very exposed, and okay, 2 die uphill makes it. So Kenty is down. Still have a lot of these guys pinned here, but Kenty is now down. So yeah, this is actually pretty easy to get to. And this is not a good cage at all. So Kenty doesn't want to get up, but that's okay. Moving more to base these players that I'm trying to kind of keep pinned to the right. So there, that frenzy there allows Striker to base the ball carrier, and then we get a simple 2 die blitz. And that's Jim making the blitz, gets the POW, pushes them up, follows, and let's see where the ball scatters off to the left. Okay, so I mean, we're basing that, that's fine. Making a few more blocks just because we can. So yeah, this is a mistake here. I went for a 1 die block, so I wanted to get that Trolls there, but I've actually pushed them towards Nat, who was basing the ball. So it's actually made it a lot easier for him to clear off my player who's basing the ball. So yeah, that was definitely a mistake by me. So still, I think doing a nice job here of keeping these dwarves pinned. And forcing my opponent to only use these few dwarfs that he has to try and stop me. But he is getting people across. So he makes another 1 die block. My opponent's a big fan of 1 die blocks. And pushes Nat towards the ball, but that allows him to get a 2 die block and pushes them onto the ball. So it's a decent scatter for me, moving it back towards the line, and he's made the pickup. He had to rely on sure hands for that, but that was a big pickup for my opponent because if he had dropped it there, but because he's made all his moves, he hasn't really secured the ball at all. Kenty again fails to get up, but like, you know, he's just standing it in the open. This is a really simple like 2 die blitz for me. So I base him with Striker. So now I need to free up David to make the blitz. So I use Jaffa to do that and push this blitzer down. So now we freed up David to make the simple 2 die blitz, and we get the POW again, and we knock him up, hoping that the ball scatters up, and it does. So we're pushing it away from the dwarfs now. So I've moved David to base the ball. So again, just pushing to the right, moving to base the ball because I don't want to risk missing the pickup here. There's a lot more stuff that we can do over here on the right before we attempt to pick up. So it's getting some hits. I mean, against the worst. Okay, so dodge made here. I kind of figured that if I failed that dodge, it wouldn't be a massive deal. I still have a nice little place here and again here, but I've been able to, passing 2 dodges, be able to get Jim to base this blitzer here, and I was able to move Andra away. Unfortunately, he failed to pick up, but I don't need to re-roll this. This is a really, really nice board save for me. Not only have we now pushed these dwarfs off to the right, we're starting to push dwarfs down below to my half, and the ball is up here. So there aren't too many pieces now he can easily move around to try and stop me picking up this ball. The frenzy is good. So I think I meant to say this earlier, but I stood Nat up a turn ago because he was able to base 3 players, and I think he was able to allow Jaffa the 2-die blitz to free up David, and I kind of stood Nat up knowing that I was kind of sacrificing him to the crowd. So 2-die uphill, bit of a desperate attempt from my opponent. He gets kind of fortunate again with no skull, and gets the push. So he's now basing the ball, but I mean, he's basing the ball, but it's a simple enough kind of blitz to get him out. So trying to free up a positional down bottom, but fails 2 3+ dodges, and Jaffa was able to stop that. Okay, so like I said, pretty simple block here to get rid of the person basing the ball. David makes it pretty easily. So now Andra is free to pick up the ball. And he does it without a reroll, which is great. And we run him away. So now things are looking excellent for us. Andra is far away from the ball. The only really person that can get to him is this runner here, but we haven't based twice. And this Troll Slayer here with a few GFIs, but we knock him down with Cine. So Andra is just, he can't be touched at the moment. So we go for the blitz here, looking to push a crowd surf. Unfortunately, we get a POW, so we can only knock him down. And now we end our turn. So the game plan now is really to kind of stall it out for a little bit. 2-die block working on Kenty, knocking him down, unfortunately. But yeah, it kind of stall things out a little bit. See who's kind of winning the bashing war. And we can always score if we need to. So my opponent here, as you can see with the blitz on Kenty, kind of has given up on trying to get this ball. I think he kind of realizes that I have him kind of pinned in a lot of different ways, and he now wants to try and attack the armor value 7, which absolutely fair enough. I think he's trying to hurt me now so that he can score in the second half. So yeah, I'm just going to make a few blocks here. Dwarfs, high armor value. So I'm running Andra right up to the top, just to make sure he can't be touched. But yeah, I mean, dwarfs armor value 9 mainly, and a few 8s. So it's a little bit unlikely you're going to armor break, unless you're blitzing with a Yeti with claw. So really trying to kind of make claw actually get some injuries or knockouts, but unfortunately it's not really working for me. Just got 2 pushes with the frenzy there. Moving Dynamic Sporadic down to give assists, because really we don't need to protect Andrew anymore. He's fine up there. Try to make a dodge out there to base another player to allow a few more blitzes. Another block. But it failed. But it was one of the last things I did. It's not very important. So now he starts basing Kenty. He wants to try and hurt the Yeti. That's a hit in it, but he's fine. So Frenzy knocks Jaffa towards the sideline. So just need to be a little bit careful here now about crowd surfs. and then the fell coming in. It's only a 4+ to break armor, so this is quite dangerous. Breaks armor, but only a stun. And rolls a skull. I think he just needed to... what he's trying to do is blitz out of there because he's very likely to be crowd surfed. So that's a fine move for him. So yeah, it's turn 7 for me. I still have another reroll. Our ball carrier is in absolutely no threat whatsoever. So we're going to try and get a few more blocks in. And now we're going for the crowd surf. So Dynamic Sporadic gets the push on Sin and gets the crowd surf. And then we're going to score because Dynamic Sporadic was ripe to be crowd surfed himself. It's a frenzy is great for crowd surfing, but a little bit of a problem is it leaves you right beside the touchline. We still have movement, I think, left on our blitz with the GFI, but there was a Trial Slayer basing us, so it would have been a 4+ dodge out. So I just thought, listen, I'll get the crowd surf and then I'll score. Not worried at all about the dwarfs trying to one-turn us, to be honest. So yeah, just one turn for him left and one turn for me. Usually, if you score and they only one turn left, you want to like move your players way back to protect for a one-turner. But since I have my turn 8 left to go, I'm kind of leaving my players up so I can try and get a hit in or to see if we can get another injury. So I get the high kick. It's fine. I'm not interested in the ball whatsoever anymore. They have one turn. They're not going to score in one turn. So we just want to survive this round of blocks. Push, that's fine. Tim takes the hit like a champ. And David gets a push. That's all good so far. Okay, so now he still has his blitz left, and here it comes. And it's going to come on Cine, our runner. That's a push, so that's absolutely fine. So at this point, what I was thinking is, right, we're going to blitz with Kenty. We're trying to get him a 3-die, and then my opponent does this, moves his player 2 tiles away from being surfed, and so there's another crowd surfing opportunity on. Opponent tries the pass to get the SVP point, it fails. So now the blitz is more likely to be here, up here on the blitzer to get the surf rather than on Kenty. But we're going to try and get our blocks in first as well. So what I was trying to do here is find out a way we can do a 3-die, but it wasn't working. So yeah, just going for the 2-die instead. We get a boat down and a block. Can't get the surf, but don't need a surf because Dynamic Sporadic just broke armor and injured another dwarf. And now we have 2 dwarf injuries to our nothing, which is pretty incredible. And Nat gets the block on the Trial Slayer. Doesn't break armor. And that's the end of the half. So yeah, I'm absolutely delighted with that half. We turned them over. It was their offensive drive. And we scored. And injuring 2 dwarves, well, I mean, one I got really lucky. It was just a rock thrown. But the other one there at the very end, injuring a dwarf. So that puts him down to 9 players against my 11. And that's kind of unheard of, really, dwarfs against Norse. It should be the other way around. And I think my opponent has been unlucky on his armor breaks against me. You would expect Dwarven armor to hold up a lot better than that. So I'm feeling very confident now in this half. We have the numerical advantage, and it's our drive. Unfortunately, I make a very big mistake here, and this is the first of a few frenzy mistakes I make. So the idea here was to get the blocks in with our berserkers because we want to put SPP on our berserkers. However, I forgot that they have frenzy, and that bites me in the ass now. Kick comes in, and opponent gets an extra reroll. So get the block in with Peter. Push. I forgot about Frenzy. I'm into a 1 die and I roll a skull. Get the reroll, get a block, but we're now down to 1 reroll for the entire second half. So that was a huge mistake. And you can see now I change it up and I block with Nat instead of Andra. But yeah, big mistake. So the idea, yeah, you get the blocks in, you move one player in each side, and that allows the 3 die here. The 3 die works, and we get another hit. Again, Kenty failing to break armor. Really disappointed with the Eddie so far. Claw not really doing anything. So yeah, we get the blitz here. The idea is we want to push the dwarves into the left a bit to move the dwarves towards this kind of pocket here, so we can start basing and then move down the right. We move the pickup and Cindy drops it. I don't re-roll. I can't re-roll because I already use it, but I wouldn't have even if I could, and the ball is in no immediate danger at the moment. Dwarves are quite slow. So here's the blitz. Going to be on Jaffa. Gets the POW. And now opponent wants to try and put a little bit of pressure on the ball. So he makes a GFI. And he makes another GFI. So now this Charles Sayer obviously is a threat. The one good thing, I guess, of dropping that ball is our opponent is much more interested now in putting pressure on the ball than he is at making easy 2 dices for himself. So that was quite handy. So 1 die rolls a skull, reroll used, so down to 3, and gets a push. Another 1 die here, gets a push. Okay, so my turn here. So I need to be really careful about this situation here. So my main thing is I need to protect the ball and I need to get rid of this Charles there. So that's the first thing I do. So I need to push this Longbeard away, which Andrew is able to do, to free up Nat to make the blitz down on this Charles there. So hoping to get a push or a POW or whatever. I get a POW, that's great, and knock him over. I think I should have followed here, but I didn't. So actually make the pickup. I 100% would have re-rolled that if I had failed. Make the pickup, run away here, and now move into the crowd a little bit. Want to kind of push these guys back so they can break the cage. Push the cage away for a bit. They're a bit close for my liking. And we get another armor break. Absolutely massive again. Really big hit there from David. Knocking out 3 dwarfs now. So we are 3 players up in this half, which is absolutely incredible. And another armor break there. These guys are punching real hard. This time by Jim, but just a stun. But that's really nice. So yeah, still feeling really confident now. The dwarves are starting to get limited numbers. Pushing into our ball carrier a little bit, but we're feeling quite safe with the ball carrier. It's not much of a cage at all, but we're basing the dwarfs that we need to base, and we have such a player advantage at this point that we don't need to strictly form a really tight cage. We can just base these dwarfs. Opponent making the 1 dice, blitzes, just getting pushes though, and attempts to make a dodge. Fails it, re-rolls, and this time makes it. So yeah, opponent kind of trying to protect the backline here to stop us pushing through. So now I kind of want to try and make the ball a little bit more safe. Trying to maybe push up towards the right, but we actually don't manage to get a knockdown on the Trolls there. And now our ball carrier is very exposed. So we're just going to sit here for another turn and just... You know, we have the number advantage. We're 1 up. It's up to them to somehow, you know, get to this ball carrier, then pick it up and score. So you know, we can take time with this. Ball carrier doesn't need to move at all, and we're just going to throw a few more blocks. Another armor break there. Just a stun for Tim, but still quite nice. And Kenty, another claw hit. And unfortunately, not an armor break again. So Kenty really not doing it for us. So yeah, I just tried to throw 1 die there. I think if I had left it, it would have given him a 2 die up here. So I just thought maybe I just try a 1 die push, try and get a block over here. Okay, so they're starting to base Kenty now. They go for a 1-die block, and this time it works. And they manage to break armor, and they manage to kill Kenty. And I don't have an Apo. So yeah, that's our Yeti dead. Kenty is dead. A fitting end for this Yeti's performance in this game. Absolutely no armor breaks whatsoever. Couldn't rely on him. And now he's dead. So opponent, I think this was a misclick he said in game. I was wondering what that was about. But yeah, very, very disappointing about that Yeti death. Kind of put a bit of a sour note in the game. But we press on. So yeah, the idea here now is to block up the right and actually start moving the ball a bit now. He's given us a gap in here. There are 2 free dwarves here, but we need to just kind of base them, and that should be fine. We also kind of need to keep in mind that this Longbeard is on the ground and can stand up and blitz. So what we do is we just put the corner cage here. It's not ideal because he can blitz in and then base our ball carrier, but we base him there. And so what I do here is I blitz the Troll Slayer. Be nice to get a knockdown, but it doesn't need to. Just need to free up this guy so he can base this Troll Slayer who's on the ground. To stop him going anywhere. And get a push. So we have Frenzy here. Allows us to push one more time. And it's another armor break, which is great. It's a stun, but we'll take it. And now he's Dynamic Sporadic is able to base the 2 dwarfs here who were previously free. And he gets blitzed away. So that frees up some of those dwarfs now to try and base our cage. Yeah, 1-die block on our cage works, and an armor break with just a stun, which is great, and a failed dodge. So that was the Troll Slayer on the ground that we had based, but he does actually manage to pass it with a reroll, but that's our opponent's last reroll. He's down to 0 now. So yeah, while he is based here, this isn't actually too bad. We have a jump up piece, Andra, and he's able to blitz the based dwarf away. And now we can just, nice little pocket of space here that we can run Cine out of. And all of a sudden, all the dwarfs are caught up here on the right, and our runner has just got away scot-free. So very, very happy with how this turned out. So now we're just able to just block the dwarfs. And they're really not going anywhere. They're not catching Cine at this point. So I just threw the 1-die block there, figuring if I could at least get a push, I'm threatening a surf. So again, kind of like in the first half, our opponent kind of has given up on trying to catch the ball carrier. And is instead electing to hurt our players. So again, trying to blitz out to protect from the surfs. It's a good move, I think. Gets the push away, and this allows him to run away. Two-die uphill works. Luckily, Dynamic Sporadic is okay. Now it's our turn. So yeah, we move Cindy, just into the far corner just to ensure nobody can touch him. And now we try and get a few knockouts. So sense a surf here. So push him down again. And that allows us to blitz and knock the Troll Slayer and hopefully get him out for a surf. Which we do. So striker surfing the Troll Slayer. So now our opponent, I think, is our 4 players down. Is that correct? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 players down, which is great. It's kind of a moot point at this juncture because I mean, they're like there's 3 turns left. They're not getting to me at this point, really. But you know, it's good practice. So yeah, basing a few more players. to try and get some more casualties. And manage to get the 1 die and push this guy closer to the pack here. Blitz from the Tross there and knocks down Sporadic, but he's okay. And then he moves into base, and that allows the 2 die on Andra, but it's just a push, which is grand. And as you can see, I mean, this guy was free to pressure the ball, but he just thought, no, I'm just going to base and get a few more hits in here. Opponent just wants to try and get SPP from the casualties. And tries to make 2 GFIs, I think, to go for another base, because he's worried about this surf here. Fails, I think, the second of the 2 GFIs, and because he's used all his rerolls, that's a turnover. So now it's a pretty simple surf here. We just need to make sure that we're basing here, because once the frenzy pushes, it'll just be a 1 die. So we just base here to ensure the 2 die on the second frenzy, so we get the push. And Peter crowd surfs another dwarf. And Thick Skull saving from an injury here. So yeah, well, that was nice. I make another mistake here with Frenzy. I completely forget that Andra has Frenzy, and I get Frenzy trapped, unfortunately. Rerolled, does not work. So yeah, sloppy play by me. Definitely need to work on. I think that was just, I clicked on a player, forgot to do Frenzy, got myself frenzy trapped, and now this allows now we have Peter just standing by the sideline. My what I would have done is just scored, because Peter is standing in, like I did in the first half, because Peter's standing in the sideline. It's a pretty easy surf here, and my opponent goes for it and he gets it, but luckily for me, no injury, so I got away with that one 100%. Few more 1 die blocks. And so yes, turn 16. I have no rerolls left. Just going to score with City. So yeah, pretty happy with that. 2-0. Obviously, very, very sad about Kenty's death. But really happy about how many dwarfs we were able to knock out there. And now, since my turn is over, its opponent just has 1 turn left. We're going to do a typical 1 turn defense, move all our important players down to the back, and put our 3 linesmen to be cannon fodder. And those 3 linesmen are going to be Jim, David, and Tim. So let's see how well they take these blocks. Kick, and we get a blitz. So fortunately you can't do anything with the blitz. Our players are too far back, so we just end turn. Okay, first up is Tim. How does he take the block? It's an armor break, but it's a KO. He's safe. So Tim is safe. Next up is David. It's a block, that's fine, but opponent will get another block on him, and it's a push. So far so good for David. Opponent still does have a blitz, don't forget, but yeah, so far so good. Next one's on Jim. Gets the POW. How's Jim's armor going to hold up? Not well, it's an armor break, and it's a KO. Jim is safe. So the blitz is going to be on David. Here it comes. It's a push, but he has frenzy, so it's a knockdown. But it's okay, no armor break. David is safe. And yeah, that's the game. Opponent will try and generate some SPP. Fails, and that is it. So yeah, that is the end of the game. So yeah, really happy with that. Peter picks up the MVP, which is brilliant. So now we have 3 SVP on Andra, one of our berserkers, and 5 SVP on another one of our berserkers. We have 3 SPP on our runner and 2 SVP on our Ulf, Ulfgar, what are they called? Um, our werewolf man. So yeah, really nice spread recipe. We didn't get any levels up, unfortunately, but we did roll a 5 for uh, we did roll a 5 for the winnings, which will allow us, if we go in here, to pick up an apothecary. So yeah, 60k. So obviously, yeah, we've lost a werewolf. I think werewolves costs 140k. So we've lost a massive amount of team value there. But we're going to pick up the Apo because, we just it's vitally important. We want to protect our 2 berserkers and our 2 off runners and our runner. Probably will save up for a Yeti. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I need to have a think about that. In terms of positionals, we have both of our berserkers and both of our elf runners, so we're not like we only need we only need 1 runner at the moment. So the option is either we get a lineman quickly enough, they're cheap, they're only 50 grand, so we could probably get them next game, or we save up for a Yeti. Unsure at this point. But we have picked up an Apo, so hopefully if we get badly hurt like that again, we can Apo it away. So yeah, that's been the first game. So I hope you enjoyed it. Getting off to a decent winning start. And of course, we did lose our most expensive player, but sure, that's Blood Bowl. So yeah, thanks very much for watching this, and we hope you'll join us for the next one.